Okay, so the first thing I want to mention is that this essay is available for you to download. Um, and what I recommend is you look at this in advance before you listen to this lecture and try to see what mistakes you see and what corrections you would make. And then you can listen to this and see what I do. And that will help you learn better than if you just listen to me. Okay, so the prompt is, mistakes we have made in the past are supposed to make us wiser, stronger, and better able to deal with the future. This approach suggests that we should continue to focus on our mistakes, that we should remember them no matter how painful or embarrassing to us they may be. But nothing is to be gained by concerning ourselves with old mistakes. We should forget them as soon as possible. All right, so this prompt is asking you to agree or disagree. It doesn't say it, but that's what this is. Okay, so here's an upper intermediate ESL student who's maybe about 17 or so. Not that matters, but just keep that in mind. All right, and here's their response. Bertold Auerbach once said, "Years teach us more than books." All right, well, the first thing is we have a direct quote. So let me do this. When we are actually quoting what somebody said exactly, we need to put quotation marks. Years teach us more than books. Okay. I think what he means is that the many mistakes we make over the years will teach us many different important lessons. Okay, so this sentence right here, this is good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's very good. If we forget our mistakes, we will not get any wiser. We will not be better prepared to deal with the future, and we will not be stronger as a person. Okay, this sentence is pretty good, except for right here. We have a comma splice, right? We have two independent clauses. We will not get any wiser, and we will not be better prepared. Now here, if we forget our mistakes, this is a subordinate clause, so it needs a comma afterwards. If we forget our mistakes, we will not get any wiser, and we will not be better to deal with the future, and we will not be as stronger as a person. Okay, so this sentence is a little bit long because it has a couple of ands, but that's better than having a comma splice. First and foremost, if we forget our mistakes, we will not get any wiser. Okay, well, the student is trying to use transition words here, so this is good. First and foremost. Now, whenever you have a transition word like this, you need a comma. First and foremost, if we forget our mistakes, comma, we will not get any wiser. Because this, if we forget our mistakes, this is a subordinate clause, and it's being connected to a independent clause. We will not get any wiser, so you need a comma. A wise man learns from his mistakes is another famous quote, and one that applies to this situation. Okay, so now the student is referring to an actual quote. A wise man learns from his mistakes. So there should be quotation marks around this. Is another famous quote and one that applies to this situation. So here we have an independent clause and another independent clause, so we need a comma before the fanboy conjunction. For example, you always put a comma after that. For example, a person who goes to jail will most likely never commit another crime because they remember their mistakes. If as soon as a person left jail, they forget their past mistakes, which ended them in jail, the first thing they may do is shoot someone. Okay, so let's see. This sentence is a little awkward. If as soon as a person left jail, they forget their past mistakes, which ended them up in jail. I think we need at least one comma here. The first thing they may do is shoot someone. Okay, now, you may or may not agree with this, but it doesn't matter because the student is going back to this prompt and they're trying to tell you if they agree or disagree. So they've given the first reason. If they forget your mistakes, you won't get any wiser. And then they've tried to give an example here, which is good, okay? The person who's gone to jail, and if they don't remember their mistakes, they're likely to repeat their mistakes. My second point is that remembering our mistakes helps, again, now here is a subject-verb agreement question or problem. Remembering our mistakes helps us to get better prepared to deal with the future. Otherwise, other than that little mistake, the sentence is good. Examples of this would be in the many wars we have had. It is human nature to forget our own mistakes, but if we remembered them, then, this is again a mistake, then there is a possibility that we will have world peace. Okay, now here, this is a big mistake. Here the student has used the incorrect there. They've used the possessive pronoun, when really what they need to use is the adverb. So this should be this there, T-H-E-R-E. It is human nature to forget our own mistakes, but if we remembered them, there is a possibility that we will have world peace. Okay, so now the other problem with this sentence is the tenses. So the student starts to write in the present tense. It is human nature to forget our own mistakes. That's the present tense. But then here suddenly they change to the past tense, and that's not good. So you want to keep your tenses the same. So present tense in the beginning, present tense at the end. You can also find examples of this in many TV shows, such as The Vampire Diaries. Elena makes a deal with Elijah, and Elijah betrays her. Now, here should be a comma. Elena then betrays Elijah, who betrays her in turn. If both of them had remembered their mistakes, which had caused many deaths, they would never have continued to form alliances, and many people could have been saved. Okay, so the student gives good examples here, and they're trying to use complex sentences. They're a little bit awkward, but let's see how a comma can help this. If both of them had remembered their mistakes, which had caused many deaths. Okay, so here, which had caused many deaths is kind of separate, like a thought in the middle of the sentence. So we want to separate that out with commas. Now, these sorts of super high level uses of commas are covered in the Part 2 course of the IELTS and TOEFL. Okay, very good. Finally, my final point is that mistakes make us stronger. An example of this would be deaths. If my grandmother died, comma, because here again we have if my grandmother died, this is a subordinate clause, it would probably take days or weeks for me to go back to normal. Let's say 3 months later my grandfather dies. I would be stronger because instead of breaking down and hiding in a hole, comma, I would be able to face his death and move on. Memory is the mother of all wisdom, said Samuel Johnson. Okay, again, here's another direct quote. So, memory is the mother of all wisdom. You need quotation marks and then a comma after that, said Samuel Johnson. I agree with this, which is why I do not believe in forgetting my mistakes. My mistakes make me wiser, better able to deal with the future, and stronger. Now here, the student did very well. Here we have a list, right? Mistakes make me wiser, better able to deal with the future, and stronger. And they've used a comma to separate them. Very good. The reasons above are why I think it is better to remember your past mistakes. Okay, very good. Actually, this essay as it is would probably really be probably a 6. And if they just fix those small little mistakes, this student is going to be for sure in the 7 band on the IELTS and well into the 20s on the TOEFL. Okay, so thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.